This morning we're going to talk about video games. Where are the video gamers out there? Any gamers? All right, we got a good number of game fans out there. Of all the video game companies, Nintendo probably inspires the most admiration, wonder, and also curiosity and frustration. So maybe through part of the presentation today, you'll understand kind of why some of that is. So let's get into it. First, let's talk about video games. Video games are different. Video games are a product that is all about entertainment. Our product is entertainment. It's not something that people consume, like a food product or a beverage product like what Tim Hortons sells or some of the other folks here today. You don't consume it. You play it. And you are the character. You assume the leading role. And the choices you make in solving a puzzle, facing a battle, all those choices determine whether your character lives or dies. And the implication of that is that the marketing rule book that we all grew up with, that we learned how to play, I started my marketing career at Pepsi, that sometimes works, but it has limits in our business. For us, we really believe that experiencing the product is far more effective. And for game fans that buy our product and play our games, they play a lot. They play 30, 40, 50, 60, 80 hours of a game. And by the time you've played that much, you really are invested in that game. And you formed a deep bond with the characters and with the product itself. And then those fans become great advocates for your product. And they tell other game fans about it. And we've built things into our systems, into our infrastructure, that allows game fans to tell other fans about what they're experiencing, what they're doing. And so they share it and propagate it. And that's very much a part of our marketing model. So this deep bond really is part of why I think we have a bit of a cult-like following. Nintendo is different. We are a company that we're 125 years old. All we make is the craft of video games. We're not like Sony. We don't make a lot of other electronic products. We're not like Microsoft, our other competitor, who makes business software. Our craft is the craft of video games, and that's all we do. We've been doing it for a long time, 125 years as a company, 30 years in the video game space. We founded the video game space. We were the start of it. But what is it that we do that makes us different? And maybe by examining some of that, it will be instructive and help us figure out why we have a cult-like following. First thing that makes us different is we have a vast array of iconic characters. We have the largest stable of character franchises of any video game company in the world. And it's many of them that you know. You see them up there: Mario, Pikachu, Samus from the Metroid franchise, Donkey Kong, Star Fox. Some well-known, some not well-known. What's important to realize is that each one of those franchises, each one of those characters, has its own individual cult-like group of people that are passionate about that game franchise. We don't release these franchises for each of these games every year. Sometimes they wait 5, 6, 10 years for the next game in a series. And they kind of follow us, and they kind of go through our trash to try to figure out what are we developing, what are we working on, so that they can see, is there something on the horizon for them that they can play the next game in the series. The second thing that makes us different and unique is this legacy of leadership, of innovation, of doing things differently. Our game development studios are constantly pushing to evolve our franchises. You see here the evolution of Mario from the early days, 30 years ago to today. They're always pushing the boundaries to find out what else they can bring to the franchises to keep them fresh and keep them interesting. And it's this point that's key. We don't follow, we lead. We try to do things in a different way. We march to the beat of our own drum. Sometimes that's frustrating, but many times I think it's that desire to be different, that passion to be different, that does create that passion with our fans. Thirdly, we have a brand purpose like many others do. Ours, when I stack it up next to like a medical company where they're all about helping you live a long life, we're just all about trying to make you smile. It sometimes seems a little less important. But then I did a little Google searching and found out the science of smiling. And actually, smiling is very healthy for all of us. It makes us, it lowers our stress level, helps us live longer lives. And so I guess in some respects, we are in the healthcare business. But we're all about smiles and putting smiles on people's faces. And I can tell you, and some of my colleague Pierre, who manages the business here in Canada, can tell you as well, Everyone from our CEO down to the woman who staffs the front desk at our headquarters in Seattle can tell you this is our purpose. That's why we come to work every day. We all know that purpose. But how do we go about making you smile? It's all about surprise and delight. That's what we try to build into our marketing, and it's also what we try to build into our products. And let me explain what that means with an example. So last May, we launched the latest iteration of the Mario Kart series, Mario Kart 8. For us, this game is all about acceleration. And I mean that in the literal sense in the game, but also in a business sense. This blockbuster sold more than 1.2 million units worldwide in its first weekend alone. And it makes it the best-selling title on the Wii U franchise, or Wii U platform, as of that point. And it's sold over 110 million units worldwide since the franchise began 7 titles ago. But what was interesting about this launch was there were things inside the game that even we as marketers who hadn't played all the way through it didn't really know about. And so here's one of them. Maybe some of you saw this. Fans called it, so if those of you who don't know, let me tell you who this is. This is Luigi. He's Mario's little brother. And Luigi as a character, his personality is shy. He's kind of easily unnerved. He's frightened, and he's rather timid. What happened in this game, though, he took on a whole different persona, as you can maybe see by this. When he passed you in the game, he gave you this, what gamers began calling the Luigi death stare. So he stared you down. He taunted you when he passed you in the game. And so if he was on the track and he passed you, you were likely going to get this. So players immediately began having a ton of fun with this. They created little videos. They set it to music. There are memes popping up, every hour, every minute, and other forms of UGC. Let's take a look at some of the stuff that was popping up out there. So the point is, what did we as marketers do? We saw this happening. We saw it happening very early. Do you know what we did? Absolutely nothing. We didn't touch it. And I think that, we had a debate amongst ourselves. Should we, try and feed this? Should we just let it go? And I think in the end of the day, we made the exact right call. I think sometimes marketers attempted to weigh in to try and blow something up and help it go viral. I think for us, it's better for us to just be in the background, let the fans celebrate it. I'm pretty convinced had we weighed in and tried to do something about it, have an opinion on it, I think it would have died and we would have been criticized for it. So I think sometimes, the lesson for us is sometimes a light touch and letting fans do their own thing and express their passion is the best way to create that cult-like following. So I will offer up 3 thoughts on this next bullet point. How do you create a 30-year legacy? First, our legacy is built all on quality. Whether it's critical reviews of our games or whether it's fans rating the games themselves, for us, it's all about quality. Mr. Miyamoto, who's our legendary game designer, he's a genius and father of many of these characters that you saw up there. His favorite saying is, if I release a bad game, a game that's not quite ready, just to meet a deadline, just to meet your holiday deadline in the US, just to meet your Black Friday or your Boxing Week in Canada, if I release a bad game, that game's going to sell for 10 more years, and it's bad forever. And I can't go back and fix it. So he would rather delay a game, miss all those launch cycles, miss all the launch ads, than launch a bad game. And our fans know this, and they get frustrated with us because we do it sometimes. We announce a date, or we give them an indication of a date, and then we postpone it, and we sit on it, and we wait. And sometimes it's become because our developers have a late idea that really is going to make the game a lot better, but it forces the date further out. But it's important for us to make that right call, to delay the game if it's not going to be good enough. But by the end, when the product comes out, they celebrate the polish. They celebrate the quality. And that's, I think, what has earned us a right in their hearts, all the goodwill that we have for putting out great quality products. A way to look at quality and illustrate this point, IGN, which is a popular game website in the U.S., a couple months ago published this article. They looked, it was the 125th anniversary of Nintendo being a company, and so they looked at and ranked the top 125 games of all time for Nintendo, their favorite 125 games. So 125, think about that number for a minute. How many other entertainment companies can even put together a list of 125? You know, clearly to be 125, we have many more than that on the list. We have thousands, right? To make 125 games, how many other entertainment companies have a library that's that deep and that rich with quality? Maybe more importantly, what other brand has that kind of affinity required to create a list like that? So for us, quality will always be a differentiator, and we're obsessed about it. The second thing we're obsessed about is innovation. A big driver of our fan attraction is innovation. Whether it's evolving Mario, whether it's introducing the first touchscreen handheld controller, numerous peripherals, some of them successful, some of them not. Anybody have the Power Glove, balance board? There's been some bad ones. And more recently, the gamepad. But for us, it's a constant search, the next big thing. We are always trying to figure out what else can we do to make the game experience more interesting and more exciting. So innovation, that's the second driver of our fan attraction. And it also shows up in our characters. We try to make our characters fresh and interesting and keep them moving forward. So Mario, if you look at this history, from 8-bit Mario through the years to riding Dinosaur Yoshi in 1991, to power-ups like the Cat Mario suit in 2013, or Tanuki suit in 2012. Link, you have Toon Link, you have Dark Link, you have many different forms of Link over the years. And each one of those, a different art style, a different way to express the character, a different way to push the character forward and surprise and delight fans. But for us, it's also about quality, or quantity. Last year, 2014, we released more unique game releases than any other company. And if you look at this list of games, there's really something for everyone. New franchises that come out of Japan that are quirky, like the one in the lower left called Tomodachi Life, where you kind of watch the game more than you play it, to Captain Toad. Captain Toad was just a side character in a prior game, and he branched off and has his own new franchise this year. Retro games like the NES pack, which celebrates a lot of classics that people played growing up, and they were remastered for their current system. And then blockbusters, of course, like Pokemon and Mario Kart 8. The third thing I would leave you with on establishing a 30-year legacy for us of passion is about engaging with the fans. Clout just recently published this last year about the most influential brands in social media in the U.S. And Nintendo, obviously we're much smaller than any of those other companies on that list. We're a fraction of the size of any of those companies, but yet we have the kind of fans and the kind of engagement that allows us to make a list like this despite being a fraction of their revenue and size. And it's because we invite fans in. We let them be part of the process. We try to have a light touch. We celebrate them, and we give them chances to express their passion and celebrate with other fans. One example of that is last year it's a crazy idea. I'm only 4 years at Nintendo, but they came to us and said, we got this great idea. We're going to take the music from the Legend of Zelda series, and we're going to create this symphony orchestra show that's going to go around the world. And I said, wait a minute, there's no video game? People are just going to come and listen to the music? And they said, yeah, we're going to do this as a series of symphonies around the country. Well, I went to the one in L.A. and the one in San Francisco. I got to tell you, these are symphonies like no other. These are symphonies where fans, pretty much 2/3 of the audience comes dressed up as a character, one of the characters from the Zelda series. So nobody's in a tuxedo or a tie or anything. Everyone's in crazy costumes, and nobody sits in their seats, and nobody is quiet. Symphony, everyone's quiet to the end, and then you clap. No, these fans, every time a scene would show, it's just a symphony and then scenes from the game, and the music would play then from that game. These fans go crazy. They stand on their seats and start cheering for the game. So I'm sure these musicians, the first one they had, were like, whoa, hey, calm down, fans. We're just playing some music here. But that's the kind of celebration that gives our fans a chance to come together I don't think we made any money off that. It was just a chance for the fans to come together, celebrate their passion for the game franchise with other fans. So those are the kinds of things we try to do to make them, to build the passion. So that's the theoretical side of the business. Let me now talk about a practical example. Our most recent launch, which is the world of Smash Brothers. So 16 years ago, we launched the very first Smash Brothers game. It was 1999, sorry. That followed a couple years later with Smash Brothers Melee, followed 7 years later by Smash Brothers Brawl for Wii, and then most recently, 2 games, the 3DS game and the Wii U game. And for those that are unfamiliar with this franchise, it's a chance for you to duke it out with your favorite Nintendo characters. And you battle your friends either in the same room or online around the world, and you duke it out in, for a title of who's the best smasher. So think about the challenge here. When we went to introduce this new game last year, we had fans that first began playing this franchise probably when they were 10 in 1999. They were now 25 years old. They're still, some of them still playing it, some of them weren't. So our challenge really was twofold. How do we rekindle the passion of those fans that began playing this and were now 25, maybe 30, 40 years old? How do we rekindle their passion while we also introduce the franchise to a whole new generation of fans? Kind of interesting marketing challenge. So here is kind of how we went about doing that. First, we knew we had to engage the existing base. It had to start there. And so more than a year before the game launched, we began a series of tweets and video posts and other reveals from Masahiro Sakurai. This is the game developer and the designer. And he would issue small little bits of information to game fans to tell them what he was working on. And they felt, to the fans, I think they felt like a very personal and direct message right from the developer himself, right to them. And it was little pieces of information that he would share. Little new characters in the game, whether it's a new level or a new feature. And so I'm going to show you in the next clip just kind of what one of those looked like. So let's take a look. So for core game fans, there's a lot of little humor in there, a lot of little jokes that they will get. The point is that each time we revealed one of these new features of the game, new characters, new fighters, it spawned a huge conversation across the world. People would, and this is just an indication, just showing some of the surges in surges in search traffic we saw every time we released one of these videos or one of these facts of information. It led up to what we called the 50 fact extravaganza, which was right before launch, which drove the highest spike. But each time we did that, it created a conversation where fans would suggest other new fighters that they wanted to be in the game. Whether it was my boss, Reggie Fils-Aimé, some people wanted him to be a fighter in the game. Some people wanted our CEO, Mr. Iwata, to be a fighter in the game. Other people had game characters that they liked from other franchises that aren't even Nintendo franchises. They wanted as fighters in the game. So it sparked a conversation, allowed fans to just renew their passion, talk to each other, and just get excited about the game. So that was one series of things we did to get people excited about it. coming in to rekindle the spirit of those old game fans. The second thing we did was allow them to experience what was new. So what we did was we rented out the Nokia Theater. This is where they hold the Grammys down in L.A. We rented out the Nokia Theater last June, and we brought in 16 of the best, well, not the best. We brought in 16 Smash fighters from around the country. And we brought them into L.A., and we had a free event. We allowed game fans to come to the Nokia Theater to watch, and all they were going to do was watch these 16 competitors have what we called the first Smash Brothers Invitational. So these 16 players were going to duke it out to be Smash Brothers champion. And Mr. Sakurai came and hosted the event. We live streamed it on Twitch, and so even those that weren't in LA could experience it and be part of and see the new game in action. And it gave those 16 fans, but as well, in addition, the 2,500 that waited in line to come in, a chance to see the game firsthand 6 months or 5 months before it actually launched. So I got to the theater that morning about 8 o'clock. We had a business presentation for our retail partners, and there were already 500 people waiting in line for a 4 in the afternoon event just to try and get in and get a first row seat at the Smash Brothers Invitational. But the important point was we allowed fans to come experience the game, but 5 months before it was going to launch. We then went and held a series of these small competitions at Best Buys. I think it's Best Buy Future Shop here in Canada. 2 days later. So even if you couldn't get to LA to play the game, we allowed you to go into these stores and play it 5 months ahead of launch. So the idea was early access plus special personal information from the developer rekindled these existing game fans' passion for the game and got them talking about it with everyone else. So that kind of addressed the first part of the challenge. How do you rekindle the passion? What do we want to do for the new game fans? Well, our model, our thought was, once those fans are talking, teens and their younger brothers and sisters would aspire to play that game, and they're going to see what their older brother or sister are talking about, and they're going to want to play it too. But we also needed to reach out to them directly with advertising because they probably knew a lot less about the franchise. So let's take a look at a couple of the launch spots. These began running 3 weeks prior to launch.
The Smash Brothers warrior knows no fear. He shall use Smash Run to master new moves like
Tornado Uppercut!
He will grow more powerful with every battle.
Yeah, baby!
Until he's ready for his biggest battle yet.
Settle it in Smash!
What are you wearing?
Little Mac!
Settle it in Smash with Super Smash Brothers, now for the first time on Nintendo 3DS. Rated everyone, 10 and up.
Who's the champ? You the man! Say it, champ!
Excuse me? You're in my seat.
I don't think so.
Settle it in Smash! V-Fighter! Donkey Kong!
Settle the score by creating your own Mii Fighter and taking on Nintendo's greatest characters in Super Smash Brothers! Settle it in Smash with Super Smash Brothers, now for the first time on Nintendo 3DS. Rated everyone, 10 and up.
Hey!
So that worked magically to reach out to teens and young adults and get them curious about what was the phenomenon, what was the Smash Brothers series all about, and what was in it for them. But we did one more thing. We went out and we innovated again. We introduced a series of characters that are really smart characters. They have a little chip in them that's a read-write chip and allows you, once you power up your character in the game, to save it to this little figurine and then take that figurine over to your friend's house. You can use it to battle against, to polish your skills, or to battle it out with other friends' amiibo or little characters. These are called amiibo. Or to have it as an ally when you fight. So it was innovation, and it was an innovation targeted to younger kids that would allow them to see these characters on shelf, wonder what it was about them. Sometimes they didn't even know what the game was all about, but they wanted these characters. I added up all the shelf space we gained at every retailer for introducing these, and I think we gained 8 miles of shelf space for these characters. They're displayed all across the country. There are going to be new waves of them introduced periodically throughout the year to come, and these really helped address for those new kids what's new in the game and enroll a new generation of fans. So those are called amiibo. I think we've sold about 3 million of them now, which if the population of Canada is 3.35 million, I think it's a tenth of your population are these little figures running around now. So kind of what were the results and what did we learn? We've sold about 10 million copies of the game worldwide. The Smash Brothers game for 3DS was the #1 handheld game last year. And as I said, we sold 3 million of those little characters. So for us, as I kind of wrap up and try and share some thoughts with you, it may appear that we have a cult, but I think what we really have are just avid, passionate fans who respond to quality, and they respond to innovation, and they respond to a company that doesn't really follow play by the rules of the game that Microsoft and Sony play by. We zig when they zag. We do things differently. I think they respect that. For us, if we don't create an amazing, buzzworthy product or game experience, no amount of marketing will create passion among fans. It really has to start and end with the game itself. And if we do that well, then the word of mouth among fans from one fan to the other really does the marketing for us. That's the best marketing we could ever hope for. Second, don't ignore your history. We're proud of our history. We're humble, but we're very proud of the things we've accomplished. We don't take victory laps, but we are proud of the things that we've done. And we try to play on nostalgia and encourage nostalgia among our fans so that they share their game experiences with the next generation of fans and their family, with their children. And then third, we approach each launch with fresh eyes. We don't have a marketing playbook. We try to figure out what fans can we activate, who might like this franchise, what other games do they like that might appreciate features of this game. And that's how we go about it. So we throw out the playbook every time and start fresh. Yeah, there are common elements from game to game, but I can tell you this Smash Brothers plan looked completely different from the plan for Mario Kart 8. So thank you all. That was my thoughts for the day, and I appreciate your attention.